Before ISIS ever showed up on the scene, I visited that village to meet some of the believers that have come to Christ in northern Iraq. There was this young man who received us in his home, and I could tell he got all excited. He ran back to the bedroom, grabbed a stack of letters, and on one of them, he had written the most important letter. He said, at the end of the broadcast, you led in prayer, and you asked the listeners if they wanted to accept Christ, and I did. But I didn't know what happened. Was I saved? Was I not saved? So I wrote you, and you wrote back to me in that most important letter about the assurance of salvation and the security of the believer. And he said, I started jumping up and down and saying, I am saved. And that's when I wrote down the most important letter. He won 25 other people in the village to Christ. That village was eventually overrun by ISIS, and people dispersed and they lost everything. Nonetheless, they still walk with Christ. My name is Charles Costa, and I play the role of a field pastor for Insight for Living. I've been in this position for the last almost 22 years in the Middle East, which is not very easy, but there's always blessing involved in ministry. Part of God's blessing is the increase and the expansion of the field and the opportunities. Eventually that led to working with Insight. And when they inquired about an Arabic pastor who masters Arabic and English and can translate Chuck's sermons and books and materials into the Arabic language, they were given my name. As a ministry, we are based in Beirut, Lebanon, but our work extends all over the Middle East. For someone to explain the complexity of the Middle East, I think his name would have to be God. No one is able to find a resolution for all the different conflicts that are taking place in the Middle East. But these conflicts really have roots way back. For example, the Arab-Israeli conflict, I believe it has root in the conflict between Esau and Jacob, between Isaac and Ishmael. There are some biblical roots that go that far, so the dynamics in the Middle East are extremely difficult. In reality, fire is still burning. It may be burning quietly, but there is going to come a time when there will be an explosion in all of this. With all the negativity, the positive side is this is an opportunity for the gospel. When the Bible says there is no peace for the wicked, the flip side of that, Jesus says, my peace I give unto you. This offer is attractive to many because many want that peace. And that's what we do through the Insight for Living broadcast, which is Nafidha al-Hayat. That's the Arabic name of the program. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about economy. We talk about, as a person, you need Christ to have peace in such a tumultuous world. If you come to Him, all this tumult becomes an external factor, not an internal factor. This simplicity that is offered through the Insight for Living broadcasts is key. It goes beyond that to convey what it means to live by grace and what it means to reflect grace. The concept of grace is foreign, illogical to a lot of people, and that's where the power of the concept lies. This presented an opportunity to share with pastors and other people how to apply these very intense, very beautiful principles and as they listened more to the teaching of Chuck, understood how they can live practically the Christian life. In Islamic societies, you can practice outwardly, but no one knows what's in your heart. Deep down, they believed in no one, in nothing. A lot of Muslims are non-practicing, but no one touches them in any way. We reach, at least theoretically, every Arab speaker around the world. The Arabic language is spoken in other parts of the world, and we are making it available through the internet for people to hear the preaching of the word in their mother tongue. We have a website. We have a phone app, an Arabic Insight phone app, to help people delve more into the Word of God. So it's not something that they hear and then later forget, but actually they can work through that sermon. These tools will be made available, Lord willing. I would like for people to pray for Vision 195. Vision 195 is an extremely challenging vision for the church. Insight for Living comes alongside the church to help churches have an extended vision, and they can partner with Insight for Living to send the word out. The second prayer request is to pray for the team in the Middle East who works together to put together the Arabic broadcast of Insight for Living. One last request is to pray for safety. As we travel the Arab world, we need prayer for our own safety and for the safety of those who come to Christ under adverse conditions. And that should worst comes to worst, and they are called upon to pay the ultimate price, that they would have grace and they would experience the presence of Christ in their lives. أحبائي، أنا بحب أدعيكم إنه تحطوا إيدكم معنا بالدعم وبالصلاة لأجل هالعمل في إيصال رسالة المسيح للعالم، وخاصة العالم العربي، من خلال الرؤية يلي سميناها رؤية 195. وشكراً.